Back or going up steep 60-degree grades like this, overloaded, dripping with muddy river water. There they go, up and over. We pushed on through the high grass for many miles. This was no good to our purpose. We never would see game in this high grass. The ground was treacherous, pitted with hidden deep holes made by warthogs and hardback, into which the trucks would unexpectedly fall to the axles. And the bushes sometimes so high that it was impossible to see one's way ahead. I expected a high grass belt of a few miles along the river, but we cut our way through this way for the better part of a day. However, we were in game country all right. The first sight that greeted us when we came out was truly magnificent. He was an old solitary bull elephant, and the biggest one I have ever seen, with good, well-curved tusks. The sight of him gave promise of good country, and we decided to stay right there. Our plan was to build a platform well concealed in a tree, and for this purpose we had brought with us the necessary rails and boards, rope ladders and pulleys. We had cots and blankets, batteries for electric light, cooking equipment and supplies, even books to while away the hours. And I planned to live in the tree until the animals would lose their fear of us. The view from our treetop home was of breathtaking beauty. Herds of topi were our first visitors. Then elephants came out of the woods. And then a rare sight on land, a hippo far from water, unless his home was in some undiscovered lake nearer to us than the river. Buffalo under the shade of the forebears. An endless variety of antelope, carp graceful and timid. The proud and majestic waterbuck, perhaps the most beautiful of the antelopes. Warthogs, the little flags at the ends of their tails as a signal to each other, would run past. In a nearby tree which seemed to produce succulent fruit, a whole tribe of baboons would feed and chatter all day, breaking the silence of the jungle with their vulgar noise and their loud barking. We hoped to see cheetah or at least some of the big cats, and every day we placed fresh meat as bait under our trees. At last, and the most unexpected, a leopard, so rare a sight in daylight that this picture is perhaps unique. Every one of the animals of the jungle seemed to sense his presence. The vultures flew heavily from tree to tree, the antelopes moved restlessly. The clicking of the camera made the leopard uneasy. His snarling startled the baboons, and they started wildly chattering to pour from the tree. But the noisy baboons had started a general alarm. Think a hippo could not run? The leopard himself became uneasy at the general alarm. Once the vultures swooped down for the leavings. And again, against its backdrop of brooding mountains, the stage is deserted. We had waited in vain for cheetah to come to our bait under the tree, but a surprise awaited us when we had recrossed the river. 2 cheetahs were waiting for us. We had often carried freshly killed antelopes on the platform of the sedan, and the cheetahs had been attracted by the smell of blood. cheetah or the hunting leopard, as he is often called, is not a leopard. He does not even belong to the cat family. He is an offshoot of the dog family and has the blunt claws of the dog. He is perhaps the fastest thing on legs and one of the most beautiful. We have pushed on now beyond the mountains of the moon, past Lake Victoria into British East Uganda and Kenya. After snow and ice, sand and rock, we are now in mud. We are back on so-called roads, but often we make less headway than we did through the jungle. In a rainy season, the tracks deeply plowed by the constant traffic of heavy ox carts become rivers of mud in which trucks and cars sink to the axles. Deep in this mud, heavy boulders are embedded. For hundreds of miles, the cars are subjected to such a strain that it seems incredible that machinery can stand it. But nothing stops our dependable Dodge equipment. It is also the season of the locusts, and we pass through several flights of them. So thick at times that they literally obscure the sun. So thick on the ground that the wheels slip on their crushed bodies. Through the great game plains of Kenya, and we see countless thousands of wildebeest and antelope. It is like driving through a huge zoo without cages, without fences, and without attendants. At our approach, the wildebeest are thrown into panic. Run! Run at all costs! But as you don't know where to run, you just run in circles. Their curiosity equal to ours let us approach within 150 feet. We make no serious attempt to catch up with them. They may not be low-slung and they were designed before the days of streamlining, but they are nevertheless capable of remarkable speed. Note the three astonished wildebeest in the background, and notice the birds clinging to the neck of the giraffe. Here are zebras. We met thousands of them. They are as common as the wildebeest. We meet immense herds of the ungainly topi. They stretch for hundreds of yards on either side of our route, but never will they divide to let us through. No, all those on the left must go to the right, and it becomes a wild race. They come from a mile away, all out, stretching their gallop until their bellies almost seem to be touching the ground to pass in front of the car. No, this is not the last, but this one is. The rains have not yet reached this region, and the ground is bare after the brush fires which sweep this whole country every dry season. The network of game trails, usually hidden under the high grass, is plainly visible. The temptation is irresistible to pursue impalas and to watch them take off in huge leaps. They often go as much as 40 feet in a single bound. The ground is rough but fairly hard, and we are traveling at 35. The springs can't take it. But not all things on the plains can be so light-heartedly chased. Here is a group of an entirely different character, and they call for a great deal of caution. They are so short-sighted as to be almost blind, but their sense of hearing and smell are marvelously acute, and they have a profound dislike of cars. Husband and wife, we thought them at first, but soon we see that they are father, mother, and junior. Better keep moving. And now, at last, when we almost despaired of seeing the king of beasts in his own kingdom, here is our first lion. We move closer, and the grass becomes alive around us. We have moved into the middle of a pride of lions at their midday siesta. Most of them sneak away, but a big lioness does not, and she circles around us threateningly. Leela and Roy pay little attention to her. They are looking for the big male who must be hidden somewhere. There he goes, asking for no fight. But in a fraction of a second, they come close to death. The lioness is coming at us in full charge. The shot has turned her over. She is running away from us now. She stumbles, she falls. It is several seconds before we move slowly towards her. She's absolutely still, stone dead. When Jack Romsford shot, she was in her last leap, less than 6 feet from Leela and Roy on the roof of the car. He fired from the elbow, because there was no time to take aim from the shoulder. The bullet has entered the center of her chest, torn her heart and lungs, lodged in her kidneys. With this bullet through the heart and lungs, she still ran 65 yards before rolling over dead. We load her on the car to take her back to camp and skin her. We are reaching now the end of our journey. Only 200 miles separate us now from the East Coast and the Indian Ocean, and we make short work of them. In 87